Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to one of our bonus days of the GMP Live Feature. Today, we're just going to finish our discussion about records maintenance, and we're going to talk a little bit about electronic signatures and what those are exactly and how we can use them. So, records may be maintained by the authorized people that are responsible for those records electronically. So, for an electronic format, you need to ensure that there is adequate backup and that you have a backup schedule in place for all electronic files. And you need to ensure that all of that documentation is printable. Sorry, I keep looking away because my notes are to the side. I'm just going to move them in front of me here. So you need to ensure that all of your data and all of your records are actually in a format that can be printed and printed easily and with very little notice. Additionally, you need to ensure that all of your alterations are tracked. So if you're working within a Microsoft Office version of a program, you can go in and you can do your document tracking. And it will keep a record of any changes and updates to it. I'm just going to actually open up Microsoft Word here quickly. I know I won't be able to share that window with you, but I can actually give you guys a little bit of a walkthrough about how to track the changes within a document. I do it all the time for my own personal documents for record keeping in Microsoft Office programs, so Word and Excel both. However, I have not actually had to sit there and think about how exactly I turn that feature on. I just know how to do it based on life experience and previous work that I've done. So I'm going to go into the program and tell you guys a little bit about how you can do that in just a moment once it opens up. So manufacturers, packagers, labelers, importers, and distributors must be able to access their electronic records and documents for at least 1 year after the expiry of a product. So we talked about that the other day, that records need to be maintained and retained for 1 year post expiry date. So then it gets into electronic signatures are acceptable as an alternative to handwritten signatures. And what it states in the regulations here, it says the electronic signature identification system must be tested and evaluated for security, validity, and reliability. The electronic signature identification system must be secured from abuse and include electronic protection against willful or accidental damage. All stages of development of electronic signature identification systems must be documented. So what they're talking about in terms of an electronic signature, you can go in and use Adobe Sign as one of the programs you can use. You can use VeriSign, but it's talking about very specific coded electronic signatures. It is not talking about a stamped name that you have scanned onto the computer as your signature. I know a lot of us use that nowadays. I use that quite frequently, but without a true digitally executed electronic signature, your document will not be acceptable to Health Canada. So keep that in mind. Their version of electronic signature is very different than the general population's version of an electronic signature. Now, back when I was doing applications for land data management, we used an electronic signature very often for our government applications and for tracking and for working with the Orphan Well Association and for working, with all of the various bodies, both provincially and federally, to do with gas and oil. And that electronic signature it's a program in and of itself, really. Like the coding for it is in and of itself a program. So Adobe, if you have like Creative Cloud is what I have. So I have all of the Adobe programs. That includes a digital signature option in there, and so I have set up a true digital signature where I can e-sign documents, and it tracks it within the code of the document. But you can get that, I believe, on the free Adobe Acrobat Reader, and you can get that on like a VeriSign free app and things like that. So I would highly recommend that you look into it, because you can do both a signature and an initial. And then it just really simplifies a lot of the record keeping requirements for you. Additionally, whether you're running a Mac or a Windows or an Android, or whatever type of platform you're running, a Google Chrome book, any of those items, ensure that you have a really good backup system in place. So you're having regular backups of all of your master files, so that they are backing up to a cloud location or to an external hard drive. Now, I use an external hard drive. It's just a tiny little thing. My external hard drive backs up weekly, and my records are always maintained safely on that. So if anything ever happened to my computer, God forbid, I spill my coffee cup on it, or my dog knocks it over, who knows, right? Life happens. You know, my records are all safe on this hard drive. So I will never have the issue with maintaining and retaining the record for a year past expiry, because I will have that record essentially for forever, because that's really all I use my external hard drive for, is storing, you know, those types of files. So I'm just going to go back into my Microsoft Word here quickly, and kind of walk you guys through. So you have a couple options within Microsoft, and it's Microsoft Office across the board. It is not just Microsoft Word. I just happened to open Microsoft Word out of convenience, because that's what was right in front of me. But it can be done with any of the Microsoft Office programs. It can be done in PowerPoint. It can be done in Excel. It can be done in Access. It can be done in Word. So your steps for turning on the tracking, you're going to go into Review. So at the top, in your top menu, you're going to go all the way to the right, and it's, in my case, because I have the developer and the Acrobat tab added, it is fourth from the end, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 from the left, I guess, is the Review tab. And so 9 from the left is the View tab. So you don't want Review, you want View. And what we're going to do here, no, that's incorrect. I am totally wrong on that. It's actually Review that we want. My bad, I'm sorry. So if you go into Review, and I can actually post some screenshots of this for you guys if anybody would like. You're going to go in, and you are going to turn on this switch that says Track Changes, and then you are going to say Simple Markup. So then you will be able to see all of the changes and markups that happen to your document regularly, and those changes will be documented and stored in the code of the document. So with every new version of a document, it will apply a new version number to it electronically and track it for you. So it's really handy in terms of electronic documentation. It is one of the pieces that I'm actually adding to, I'm actually running a record keeping simplified program. I'm just finishing actually 2 programs that I'm building, 2 courses. I'm doing the Good Manufacturing, which is going to be 4 months, so 16 weeks. It's a big package of information and templates and exercises and assessment tools and all sorts of things. So I'm just finishing getting that loaded into Kajabi, and then I'm also doing record keeping made simple. So, like, I mean, it's easy to say, here, make these records, create these records, do this, do that. But if we can simplify that, and we can enter our data one time in a spreadsheet, and then loop back for that spreadsheet to auto-populate all the other documents, and then we turn on our auto-tracking, so we never have to redo a document again. The version is just changed and saved and updated and included in the code. Well, then we're laughing. Then we've taken a really time laborious and time intensive piece of good manufacturing practices, and we have funneled it all into entering documentation one time only, and then that documentation auto-populating into all of your other documents. So that's going to be one of the smaller side courses, I guess, that I'm going to run, because a lot of people don't necessarily know how to operate the base programs to do that, like to manipulate the programs to make that happen. And so I decided that I would just run a course on how to do that, because even if you guys, pick up the templates from me or whatnot, you're still going to have to go through every single template and put your information into it every single time, right? So by learning to adjust the settings on your own computer and within your own documentation, you can also set it up so you only have to enter information once ever, and then it auto-populates for you. So that's coming up too. Hopefully by the end of September, I have both those ready to roll with. I will be opening up like a pre-registration for both of them, hopefully in the next few days. So back to the records maintenance. Manufacturers, packagers, labels, importers must maintain at their premises in Canada distribution records that contain sufficient information to enable a recall for every single lot that has been made available for sale. So, and then it says, please refer to the recall reporting section for further information. So again, you need your lot, batch, records, then you need your spreadsheet that identifies what retail partner and what lot and batch went to which retail partner and what date it went and how many units went and all of those things. So that's what they're talking about in terms of maintaining that documentation to enable a recall. And again, you need to maintain those for 1 year post expiry. Manufacturing, testing, and distribution records must be retained for at least 1 year after the expiry, which I just said. Excuse me. I always get scratchy during hay season around here, and I live on 40 acres, and about 35 of that is in hay. So we have the guy here cutting hay today and baling, and the hay dust that's in the air, it just like coats my poor throat. But it is what it is. It'll only be for a few days, and then my horses will be happy for the winter. Onwards and upwards. Master production documents. So I call these the master formulation records. And batch records are considered evidence. So this is talking about GMP evidence for records maintenance. And it's giving us examples of what Health Canada would consider sufficient evidence for records maintenance. So they want to be able to look at every single one of your master formulation documents, and they want to be able to, at some point, if they ever ask, see any given batch record at all. They also want a list of all contract manufacturers, packagers, and labels that your company might use. And then for each contract manufacturer, packager, labeler used, they want a signed quality technical agreement, clearly demonstrating who is responsible for each section of the good manufacturing practices. So not only do you have to screen these people through your personnel portion of the good manufacturing practices, you also need to have a signed quality technical agreement in order for them to work for you. If ever the government should ask for it, you need to produce it immediately. So you need to keep any stability data and testing records that you have for every single product. So these types of things, it gets into in the next sentence, actually, records of all raw material testing. So that includes, I was going to say, your certificates of analysis, your MSDS, and a whole lot of other things that you would receive as product data from your suppliers. And then the last couple here, it says you need to be able to provide relevant SOPs for all activities and products. So that's those standard operating procedures that we keep talking about. And then a list of all natural health products or cosmetics that are manufactured, packaged, labeled, imported, or stored at your site. So let's just talk for a minute about, whoops, I am throwing stuff around. I just threw my papers instead of placing them gently on the table. So let's just talk for a minute about standard operating procedures. Really, when we're talking about site licensing with Health Canada, we are talking about developing our good manufacturing practices and then we're talking about developing our standard operating procedures, and then we're talking about filling out our quality assurance report, and finally filling out our full application and submitting those 4 items to Health Canada, or submitting evidence of those 4 items to Health Canada. So you can't get to step 2, the standard operating procedures, without completing step 1, the good manufacturing practices. And you certainly can't fill out your quality assurance report without your standard operating procedures and without your good manufacturing practices, because that quality assurance report, you are required to, word for word, enter in your GMP and your SOP references for specific items within that quality assurance report. The quality assurance report takes the place of an auditor coming in and reviewing your good manufacturing practices and your standard operating procedures. If you don't have your quality assurance report attached to your site license application, then you are required to have an auditor, a certified auditor, complete a full review on your GMP and your SOP. So this is the easiest, simplest, best way for a small manufacturer to go about getting their site license, for sure. I know it sounds a little bit complicated, but it is your best bet to get your site certified for making natural health products. Now, site licenses aside, you need your good manufacturing practices for the cosmetic regulations in Canada, the natural health regulations in Canada, the cosmetic and natural health regulations that are set out by the FDA in the United States, the natural health products and the cosmetic regulations that are set out by the EU for the European Union, and the natural health product regulations and the cosmetic regulations in Australia, again, for any type of licensing and product manufacturing. So really, your good manufacturing practices are good almost across the board. Like, I mean, they're good in Japan, they're good in Australia, they're good all over the place. So other countries will recognize that you have a GMP that is in line with ISO 22716-2007, which is the International Standards Organization. And this is what all of these other countries, and the European Union, of course, this is what they base their standards on. And so, like, I mean, there's minor differences, minor tweaks in the wording, and there are like a couple small differences, I guess, between the countries, but the overall is the same and is based on that ISO 22716-2007. So whether you want to take this business with you on a move, whether you want to start exporting to other countries, or whether you just want the recognition for your business of being ISO compliant, then this is like definitely a huge part of the puzzle. And because on every cosmetic notification form and on every electronic PLA that we submit, product license application through the NHP, both of those forms, at the end of them, they have the attestation, and that attestation that we all sign stipulates that we are practicing within GMP compliance. So it's a really critical part. I know it seems kind of big and kind of overwhelming, and it doesn't have to be. Like I said, a lot of this stuff we're doing already. We just need to record it and then write down written policies about it. So that is, that's really about it for today. That's the record and maintenance portion of it. I am going to get into, the record keeping simplified and the electronic signature portion and the tracking your documents portion and all of those things. And we'll also get into labeling and claims and things like that in other programs. But I am really interested in hearing from you guys what you want our next live feature to be about. So there's a few different options that I've been kicking around, and I will put a poll today in the Facebook group, but I would love to hear back from you guys about what piece of this all you guys are the most interested in hearing about? Like, is it about products? Do we want to get into natural preservatives? You know, do we want to get into doing an assessment of all the various carrier oils and fixed oils? You know, do we want to do a deep dive on essential oils and essential oil components and how to use them safely and where to use them and how much at what dilution? And like, I mean, where do you guys want to go with this? You know, like, I mean, I am happy to get on here and to teach and to talk and to walk you guys through any number of things, but I'd really like to hear from you guys what that is. Maybe you guys want to learn about developing social media strategy. You know, maybe you're building your businesses and you're at that point and you want some background and some help on content development and on social media marketing management. You know, so let me know in the comments. And again, when I put the poll up, please, you know, give me your feedback and let's see where we're going to take this thing. I am here to support you guys in whatever way I can, and I love being here to, yeah, help you guys out and to share in this community. Like, I love this community. I love that we're all like-minded. I love that we're all Canadian makers in one fashion or another, and I think it's a really strong community, and I want to continue to build that strength and to develop the community even further. So that is it for today. I hope you guys all have a fantastic day, and we will chat with you guys later on this afternoon at 1 o'clock for our live Q&A. Have a great day. Talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.